Android games are occasionally better when played together. Probably why there's just so many multiplayer games out there today for the platform. Hello everybody and welcome back to Mobile Game Zone. Today I'm gonna be showing you about 25 of the best multiplayer free-to-play games for Android and iOS devices that came out in 2022. Let's go. And number one from, okay, first of all, this is just an honorable mention since the game's still in its beta phase since June. We've got something here called Dead 4 Returns. For those of you new, this is a multiplayer co-op shooter actually made with Unreal Engine 4. This game's actually been through a couple of betas ever since reveal, and it is set to be released in its full by the end of this month. And this, whatever you saw, was actual gameplay. Moving on. Coming up behind that from a tad less than a month ago, we've got something called T3 Arena. First of all, one of the biggest projects released last month, actually since the beginning of this year. This is a 3 vs 3 arena-based battle royale shooter with a pretty nice little cast of unique characters. It's actually playable solo, but better if played online co-op, obviously. This game's got perhaps the best third-person cel-shaded graphics on the platform right now. There's a downside, however, it'll take you for 1.4 GB of space, and it is actually all the way free. At number 3, this is from June last year, and just in case you missed it, we've got here something called Dark Steel, Medieval Fighting. This is an action role-playing fighting game, mostly just a single player to some extent, even idle-based. That is actually a tad different from the likes of its kind. I would say it's a very good game. For a free one that is actually playable both online and offline, it comes with a ton of replay value, and gameplay-wise, it's quite bug-free. Check it out, game sitting on the Play Store with a 4.5 out of 5 review score. Moving on, we've got Modern Strike. This is perhaps, not my words though, the best first-person shooter on the Google Play, or just mainly one of the best, I would say. I mean, I do see a lot of people complaining about it on the Play Store, mainly because people do hack into this game, and it's kind of hard to just sign into it, and I do agree. But for multiplayer, this is literally a god amongst the rest. Game's over 2 GB of space, however, it's downloaded over 100 million times, and it's actually been around since August of 2016. At number 5, we've got Armed Heist from, well, all the way back March 2019. This had to be in today's list, guys, because it's literally just the best game I could think of if we're talking multiplayer third-person shooter. Like, as far as a free premium or just a freemium game, they would say go, this game is just a gem all around the way. It's a third-person bank robbery shooter where you face off against cops in offline and online stages. It's free, it's got some ads, of course, lots of challenges, lots of fun, and so far actually downloaded over 10 million times. Guns at Dawn, on the other hand, is, well, first off, it's just a mix of old arena shooters and a little bit of Red Dead, but not Redemption. I mean, the old ones, which were technically co-op arena-based shooters. So this is pretty much that. Hopefully you guys are familiar with that. Albeit for phones with a very similar formula, I would say it's pretty safe to assume this is the most fun you will have on your phones with a friend if Red Dead is just your thing. Game's literally perfect. Moving on, we have Hero Hunters. This has been around for quite a while as well, in fact since 2018, with over 10 million downloads ever since, as a team-based RPG shooter in which you just get to build a team of heroes and play PvP battles. There is a ton of heroes here to learn about and just pick and to go through different mods. There's boss raids, challenges. I'm not gonna lie, this is actually very fun multiplayer. It's also playable offline, and yes, it is literally one of the best games regardless of the genre. From a little less than a week ago, we've got something here called Skyfall Chasers, downloaded only 5,000 times. This is a first-person shooter battle royale and pretty much inspired by Apex Legends, albeit actually a bit more mission-based, where the main goal is just collect this material or resource in matches of up to 10 minutes and save a base. The game's free, it's literally bug-free as well, and this is how it really works. At number 9, we've got Shooter Legends. From a tad over a year ago, this is a third-person action shooter, well technically a battle royale style, pretty much Fortnite-inspired multiplayer, first-person and third-person shooter, but one that kind of still needs a lot of improvement or just has room for improvement, and by that I just mainly mean more content. Game's free, of course, is very well done, feels like an early access sometimes, quite bug-free. You just don't have a lot of social options in this game, like you can't really chat. At number 10, from a tad less than a couple of weeks ago, we've got ATSS 2. Well, for those of you new, this is mainly an offline game, a mission-based shooter, and pretty much like the old Division games, albeit in a war setting. This game's sitting on the Play Store as I'm speaking with a 5 out of 5 review score. It is extremely impressive in visuals and just very smooth in controls. In fact, even playable with a controller. Coming up behind that, we have Catalyst Black. This is a team-based 10 versus 10 drop-in, drop-out, pretty much large-scale shooter. Game has a ton of potential. It is fun, addictive, smooth gameplay. Graphically, it is actually pretty good. Catalyst Black is actually a very easy to understand game when it comes to actual controls on screen. Technically, it's a MOBO game, but one with a unique twist to make it kind of stand out. It can be played with a joystick, controller, or even if you like with a mouse and keyboard. Check it out. Game's all the way free. From earlier July this year, on the other hand, we've got Alice Fiction. Well, first of all, a gacha style, pretty casual single-player role-playing game, albeit with online PvP components and very easy to get the hang of. I had to include a gacha game in this list anyway. If we're talking quality, this game is addictive in its visuals and gameplay. I would say visually the game is kind of like a console quality IP. I'm not really sure why it is free. It's got a few ads here and there and very much all the way free. There's just one downside, it'll take you 700 MB of space. At number 13, we've got Awaken Chaos Era. Now, this is for those of you looking for an alternative on the old Raid Shadow Legends. Well, of course, as you can see, a competitive turn-based online RPG with in-app purchases only and some ads, which has a good dose of them also. I mean, graphically, the game's on a whole other level. That would be actually the strong point of it. And it is getting constant updates regularly, and it's taking you down for 1 GB of space.
Awaken Chaos Era.
Not even gonna bother with this one, just download it if you're into multiplayer, minimalistic, fast-paced racing games. Sub-multiplayer racing game is one of those games that is just literally fine-tuned to perfection for a mobile game, mainly because it's been around for more than 5 years, and this is how it really works. Now, this has been one of the most anticipated games of 2022 so far, be it the mobile devices or consoles. Warhammer 40k Tacticus is now available. In fact, it's been since August. And for those of you new, this is just a Heist-based strategy online game where players do take part in some lore-heavy campaign, PvE PvP matches with 8 playable fictions to choose from. Game's free with in-app purchases only and takes you less than 200 MB of space. Sunken Century, on the other hand, is a battle royale kind of battleship sim, but not really, because this game's a third-person RPG with multiple classes to just choose from and partly an open world game. It's actually been around for half a year now, on and off. It is definitely worth a shot if you've ever enjoyed the Black Flag game, Assassin's Creed, and it's got a fairly positive review score, in case that's important for you. Moving on, we've got Undecember, a hack-and-slash action RPG that's been around since January this year. Games actually heavily emphasize on combining skills as opposed to just a roguelike compared to its own kind. Just feels like a Diablo game, Diablo 2 to be specific. And yes, Undecember just got itself an English version. It actually works. It's got an endless amount of content for a free one, and it is very, very smooth in its core gameplay. Check it out. At number 18, we've got Tank Company from roughly a month ago. This is an MMO tank battle game that allows you to just experience 15 versus 15 tank battles with a significant amount of tank types with different types of guns and battle styles to just dig into. Frankly, as far as I'm concerned, the game is getting a ton of attention with daily updates ever since release. It'll take you 1 GB of space, I would say, because graphically the game is pretty good, and yeah, it's also all the way free. Alright guys, moving on, we've got Disney Mirrorverse. This is an action RPG mobile exclusive game set in an all-new universe about in Disney, where players assemble teams of Disney and Pixar characters to battle against a pretty dark force. This game's got a decent multiplayer, it's pretty fun, graphically it's just superb. I wouldn't change a thing about it. If there's anything you like about what you see, you might also want to know the game's all the way free, so keep it in mind. At number 20, we've got Nerf Blasters. This is a 3 versus 3 multiplayer arena shooter, very much in the same vein as the old Skyfall Chasers I've actually mentioned earlier. Frankly, not really much to talk about with this one. I haven't played it yet, but it's been around since last month and it's got a pretty good review score as well. So check it out if there's just anything you like about what you see here. Now, Rally 1 Path to Glory, on the other hand, is sitting on the Play Store since roughly last month, and it's actually one of the better multiplayer racing games since the beginning of 2022. Visually, I mean, the game is just perfect. It's very smooth, got a bit of ad around each turn, which is a bit annoying, but it's all the way free. If you just like racing games, this is probably the one for you. Next up, we've got Project Bloodstrike. Guys, I don't really have much to talk about with this one either, because I haven't yet had hands on this one, but this game's described as a roguelike battle royale first-person shooter in which you have multiple upgrade mods to create infinite playstyles, with different operators with unique skills and stuff, and I would assume it's just a lot inspired by the old Call of Duty mobile. Well, check it out, the game has actually been around since only a week ago, and it'll take you for almost a 1 GB of space. Horror Brawl, which is a battle royale style horror thriller, has actually been around since only days ago and already got just a ton of replay value for a free one. This game is actually playable for up to 16 people at a time. It is indeed inspired by the other mobile games like Ice, Scream, Butcher, The Nun, but one that actually has its original story and a heck of a lot of replay value and some excellent visuals for a mobile game. Take a look. At number 24, it's the old modern gun from precisely a year ago, since today. This game's ever since downloaded over 1 million times and it's got pretty fairly positive review scores compared to any other today. The game's a tactical first-person shooter at its core and online multiplayer with one of the best gameplay mechanics on the platform right now. It's smooth, takes you less than a gigabyte of space, and it is all the way free. And last but not least, we've got Road Redemption Mobile from a tad over a week ago. This is actually quite a bit inspired, as you can see, by the old Road Rush games. So mainly this is an action fighting game rather than just a racing game, and also set in a post-apocalyptic world ruled by a ruthless dictator. So I don't know, if you're a fan of old Mad Max franchise, you'll probably feel at home with this one as well.